Why? Vera, why?
Did you really think I loved you? I never loved you, not even from the start. I only agreed to marry you for your family's wealth. And for your information, our 2 daughters, they're not even yours.
I always knew you were a cruel woman, but I never imagined you could be this wicked. You are utterly heartless.
Like and subscribe.
Amanda had always been a bright and ambitious young woman, possessing an unshakable determination that set her apart. From an early age, she understood that life would not hand her success on a silver platter. She and her mother, Adorgo, had faced countless hardships, financial struggles, long nights of uncertainty, and moments when the future seemed bleak. Yet, through it all, Amanda refused to let circumstances dictate the course of her life. With an unyielding spirit, she worked tirelessly, balancing multiple responsibilities while dedicating herself to her studies. She spent late nights poring over books, pushing herself beyond her limits, determined to carve a better future. Her hard work paid off when she graduated from university with top honors, a moment that felt like the culmination of years of perseverance. But Amanda's success was not just for herself, it was for her mother, the woman who had sacrificed everything to ensure her daughter had opportunities she never did. Every achievement, every milestone was a tribute to Adorgo's resilience and love. Amanda vowed to repay that sacrifice, using her success not only to uplift herself but to give her mother the life she had always deserved. One fateful evening, as they sat in their modest dining room, the warm glow of a single overhead light casting soft shadows on the walls, Amanda finally found the courage to voice the question that had lingered in her heart for as long as she could remember. She took a deep breath, steadying herself before speaking. "Mum," she said softly, her voice almost a whisper, "since I was born, you've never mentioned my father. Please, I need to know, who is he?" Across the table, Adorgo's hand trembled slightly as she set her spoon down. The rhythmic clinking of cutlery against ceramic ceased, replaced by an eerie, heavy silence. Amanda could see the pain flicker across her mother's face, the weight of untold secrets pressing down on her shoulders. Finally, Adorgo sighed deeply, her eyes clouded with an emotion Amanda couldn't quite decipher. "Your father is a nobody," she said, her voice firm but laced with sorrow. "And he is someone you cannot associate with." Amanda's heart sank. That was not the answer she had hoped for. "But Mum," she pleaded, her eyes searching her mother's, "everyone has a right to know their roots. Please, tell me." Adorgo looked into her daughter's pleading eyes and knew she could no longer keep the truth buried. The years of silence had been an attempt to protect Amanda, to shield her from the pain of knowing that the man who had helped bring her into the world had also abandoned her. But now, the weight of the secret was too heavy to carry any longer. With a deep breath, she began. "His name is Amadi. He came from a wealthy family, one that believed status was everything. When I got pregnant with you, his family rejected me without hesitation. I was poor, an orphan with no connections, no influence, just a girl they saw as unworthy. Amadi didn't fight for us. He didn't argue, didn't defy them. Instead, he walked away as if we never existed. He never looked back, never cared. He left me to suffer alone." Amanda sat still, absorbing her mother's words. A whirlwind of emotion swirled inside her, anger, sadness, disbelief. The pain in Adorgo's voice cut deep, but more than that, it ignited something within Amanda. A fire. A determination stronger than ever before. She clenched her fists under the table, making a silent vow to herself. She would succeed, not to seek revenge, not to chase after the acceptance of a man who had abandoned them, but to prove, to herself, to her mother, and to the world, that one's worth was not defined by wealth or status, but by resilience, hard work, and integrity. Days later, as Amanda sat in their small living room, the soft hum of the radio filled the space. Her ears perked up when she heard an announcement. An established company was recruiting new employees. It felt like a sign, an opportunity she couldn't ignore. Without hesitation, she gathered her documents, polished her resume, and submitted her application. The selection process was intense, with multiple rounds of interviews and assessments. But Amanda, armed with her intelligence, determination, and the resilience her mother had instilled in her, refused to be intimidated. When she finally received the job offer, she felt a deep sense of accomplishment. Once she started working, Amanda threw herself into her role, eager to prove her worth. She arrived early, stayed late, and took on challenging projects with confidence. Her innovative ideas and problem-solving skills soon caught the attention of the company's executives. Within months, she climbed the corporate ladder, earning the trust and respect of her superiors. However, not everyone was pleased with her rapid success. Some colleagues, threatened by her rise, began conspiring against her. They attempted to frame her for financial misconduct, fabricating evidence to tarnish her reputation. But Amanda was not one to back down. She meticulously defended herself, uncovering their deceit. The truth prevailed, and instead of bringing her down, the failed conspiracy only solidified her position. She emerged stronger, more determined than ever to succeed. Meanwhile, within Amadi's household, things were slowly crumbling. What had once seemed like a picture-perfect family was now unraveling at the seams. His wife, Vero, who had once charmed everyone with her elegance and warmth, had transformed into someone unrecognizable, greedy, manipulative, and calculating. At first, the changes were subtle, harsh words here and there, dismissive glances, little acts of defiance. But soon, her true nature became impossible to ignore. She no longer hid her disdain. For Amadi, speaking to him with open contempt, treating him as though he were beneath her. She spent recklessly, indulging in extravagant luxuries while disregarding financial responsibilities. The home that was once filled with warmth and laughter became a cold battleground. Worst of all, Vero had succeeded in poisoning the hearts of their two daughters against him. With carefully chosen words and twisted narratives, she painted Amadi as a failure, an uncaring father unworthy of their love and respect. The daughters, once affectionate and eager to please, grew distant and resentful. As Vero kept late nights and pursued her own selfish desires, Amadi found himself increasingly alone in his own home. The life he had built was slipping through his fingers, and for the first time, he realized that wealth and status could not guarantee happiness. The company soon found itself in the midst of a financial crisis as funds mysteriously vanished without a trace. Despite multiple high-level meetings, detailed audits, and countless investigations, no one could pinpoint the culprit. The missing money created an atmosphere of paranoia, with suspicion looming over every employee. One afternoon, as Amanda walked into Mr. Amadi's office, she immediately noticed the deep lines of worry on his face. His usual composed demeanor had been replaced by visible frustration. "Sir, what is the problem?" she asked, concerned. Amadi sighed heavily, rubbing his temples. "Another fund has gone missing," he admitted, his voice laced with irritation. Amanda frowned, feeling a wave of determination rise within her. "This is no longer funny," she said firmly. "Sir, please permit me to investigate this issue in my own way." Amadi hesitated for a moment, unsure whether Amanda could uncover what the company's best auditors had failed to find. But desperation outweighed doubt. If there was any chance of solving this crisis, he had to take it. "Fine," he said, pulling out a stack of confidential documents. "Take these. Find out who is behind this." Amanda took the files, her mind already racing with possibilities. She was determined to expose the truth. After 5 days of intense investigation, Amanda finally uncovered the shocking truth. As she pored over financial records, traced suspicious transactions, and examined internal communications, a sinister pattern emerged. The missing funds were being siphoned off by none other than Vero, Amadi's own wife, alongside James, a high-ranking member of the management team. The revelation hit Amanda like a thunderbolt, but the betrayal ran even deeper than she had imagined. As she dug further, she uncovered an even more devastating truth. Vero and James were not just business partners in crime, they were lovers. Together, they had concocted a devious plan to bleed the company dry, sell it off, and elope, leaving Amadi in financial and emotional ruin. Amanda could hardly believe it. The very woman Amadi had trusted, the one he had built a life with, was plotting to destroy him. When the confrontation finally happened, Amadi was pale with shock, his hands trembling as he faced his wife. "Why, Vero?" he demanded, his voice raw with emotion. But Vero only laughed bitterly, her eyes glinting with cruelty. "Do you think I married you for love?" she sneered. "I married you for your money. And by the way," she added with a smirk, "our 2 daughters? They're not even yours." The room fell into a suffocating silence, the weight of Vero's cruel words hanging heavily in the air. Amadi staggered back, his face drained of color. It felt as if the ground beneath him had crumbled. The woman he had loved, trusted, and built a life with had not only stolen from him but had also shattered his last illusions of family. His entire world had been a lie. Amanda watched, her heart heavy, realizing that this was more than just financial loss, it was a deeply personal devastation. She could see the pain in Amadi's eyes, the silent storm of emotions threatening to consume him. Summoning the last remnants of his strength, Amadi straightened. His voice, though shaken, carried authority. "Security," he commanded, his gaze locked on Vero and James with icy resolve. "Remove them from this company immediately. I want them gone." The betrayal was complete, but Amadi refused to be destroyed by it. Shaken but determined, Amadi called Amanda into his office. "I want to meet your parents," he said. Amanda hesitated before replying, "I don't have a father, but my mother is all I have." "Then bring her on Monday," Amadi insisted. That Monday, the atmosphere in the conference room was electric with anticipation. The employees stood eagerly, whispering among themselves, awaiting the special announcement. Amadi took his place at the front, his face composed but his heart weighed down by the events of the past weeks. He cleared his throat and addressed the room. "Today, we honor someone who has not only proven her competence but has also saved this company from ruin," he announced. "When corruption threatened to destroy us, she stood firm, uncovering the truth despite the risks. Because of her integrity and dedication, we stand stronger today. Ladies and gentlemen, let us acknowledge Amanda." The room erupted into thunderous applause as Amanda walked in, her head held high, accompanied by her mother, Adorgo. Pride filled Amanda's heart as she led her mother forward. But the moment Adorgo stepped inside, she froze, her breath catching in her throat. Across the room, Amadi's eyes widened in shock. His face paled, his expression shifting from confusion to disbelief. A heavy silence fell over the room, the celebratory atmosphere vanishing in an instant. His hands trembled as he took a hesitant step forward, staring at the woman he had not seen in over 2 decades. He opened his mouth to speak, but no words came. The realization of who stood before him left him speechless. Amanda, sensing the tension, frowned. "What is happening here?" she demanded, looking from her mother to Amadi. Adorgo's eyes glistened with unshed tears as she inhaled deeply, gathering the courage to speak. "He is the same man who abandoned me when I was pregnant with you," she finally said, her voice laced with pain. Amanda's breath hitched. She turned to Amadi, her eyes wide with shock. "You mean, Mr. Amadi is my father?" Adorgo nodded. "Yes, my daughter." A collective gasp rippled through the room. The man who had unknowingly mentored Amanda, the very person she had worked so hard to prove herself to, was the same man who had once walked away from her mother. Amadi's legs buckled under the weight of guilt and regret, and before anyone could react, he fell to his knees. His voice shook as he whispered, "Adorgo, I am so sorry." He lowered his head, his hands clenched into fists. "I was a coward. I let my family's arrogance blind me. I turned my back on you when you needed me most." His voice broke, raw with emotion. "I don't deserve your forgiveness." The room was silent, all eyes fixed on the emotional confrontation unfolding before them. Amanda's heart pounded in her chest. She had spent her entire life wondering who her father was, never imagining that he had been in front of her all along. Tears welled in Adorgo's eyes, but she remained still, uncertain of what to say. Amanda swallowed hard, trying to process the truth that had just shattered everything she thought she knew. As Amadi knelt before them, pleading for forgiveness, Adorgo remained motionless, her face unreadable. The weight of years of pain and abandonment sat heavily between them. Amanda, however, could no longer remain silent. She took a deep breath, her voice steady but carrying the weight of the emotions she had suppressed for so long. "Mum suffered so much because of you," she said, her gaze locked onto Amadi. "She cried in silence, yet she never let me feel unloved. She worked tirelessly to give me a life filled with love, strength, and dignity. And despite everything, she never spoke a word of hatred against you. That is the kind of woman you abandoned." Tears streamed down Amadi's face. He turned to Adorgo, his heart heavy with regret. "Adorgo." His voice broke. "I wronged you. I destroyed what we had and left you to struggle alone. I was weak, a coward who let others dictate my choices. I know I can never undo the past, but please, forgive me." For a long moment, Adorgo said nothing. Her eyes shimmered with unshed tears, memories of the past flashing before her. The pain of abandonment, the struggle of raising Amanda alone, the silent nights filled with sorrow, but also the strength she had gained, the joy of watching her daughter grow into the remarkable woman she had become. She inhaled deeply before speaking. "I let go of the pain long ago," she said softly. "My daughter was my greatest blessing. I chose to focus on love rather than hatred, on moving forward rather than drowning in the past. But Amadi," she looked at him firmly, "I hope you've learned that wealth means nothing without love and integrity." Amadi nodded slowly, understanding the depth of her words. He had spent his life chasing power and status, only to lose the very things that truly mattered. That day marked a new beginning. Though the past could never be rewritten, Amadi committed himself to rebuilding his relationship with Amanda and Adorgo. It was not easy. Trust once broken is not easily repaired, but he was willing to put in the effort. He learned, too late, that he had lost the love and respect he had once taken for granted. But Amanda had risen above rejection and heartbreak. She had carved her own path, proving that true success is not measured by wealth or social standing, but by strength, character, and the unwavering love of those who truly matter.
Thank you for watching. Tell us your opinion in the comments section.
Like and subscribe.